What it do, Obfuscate crew? As always, let's check sound first. Make sure we're coming through loud and clear. As always, let's check sound. Yeah, we're good to go. Yeah, what it do, Obfuscate crew? Another stream. Those catching the playback, I appreciate you just as much as those that catch it live. Consistency. So consistency is fairly hard to obtain, or sorry, to maintain. Um, and even I suffer from it myself. Personally, today I took a personal mental health day. I just haven't been feeling quote unquote good to code, um, being useful to my teammates and things like that. Just been running, I don't know, on mental fumes, if you will. So took a day, didn't do anything special. There's not much to do around here anyway, but I just couldn't even sit and watch, live streams or anything. I just kind of slept a lot. Um, I was up late the night before doing a stream and doing some coding and stuff like that. But I was really into it and I was really trying to figure out how to get this code working for the Coinbase API. And there were some things that we did go over on last night's stream. Check that out, where I started the project, or the Coinbase project, sorry, or the financial asset tracker project, deprecated the old one or marked the old repo as old, and started from scratch, fixed some problems in the Node boilerplate script, um, things I didn't see, things that you see while working in the wild per se, or so to speak. So some certificate issues, some issues with installation in terms of where I just skipped, the MongoDB installation and wondered why it didn't work. So had to deal with that. Um, but I've been having, it's been feeling kind of quote unquote down since last week. Nothing serious, just out of it. So sometimes you got to take those days. Sometimes you got to do things to get your mind off of stuff. Um, but yeah, so I had to definitely do that. Um, did think about some like new content and other stuff that I want to actually put together. But we'll get to that a little bit later on. Uh, Made a quick video today while I went out walking. In terms of weight, man, pounds aren't really going down, but the inches are going down. So I went from 47 and a quarter inch waist to 46 and a half. So that's going down. Some of my pinch numbers, because I do like the body fat, the caliper measurement, and that's kind of hard. I know it's not exact, but those are going down a little bit too. And also hit 205 on bench, did that 3 times. So getting some strength back. So that's really good, especially after an upper back injury. But talking about what we've gone over in terms of just consistency, consistency in coding, consistency in uh, producing content, even consistency in your daily life, consistency in your work. Um, even even with consistency has breaks. Take breaks. Learn how to relax when necessary. Learn how to shut the computer off. Learn how to um, experience new bits of art and stuff like that, and just learn the best way to uh, enjoy the things around you so that you can maintain your consistency or a high level of consistency. It's important to you, the people that you are protecting, providing for, even if it's just yourself. Make sure that you give yourself the proper breaks so that you can actually, quote unquote, do more in perpetuity. So, oh, well, that's kind of crazy. Super real. Whoa, that's really nice. I want this one. But yeah, so wanted to go in on that in terms of like just talking about consistency and talking about all the things that we do on a daily basis. that we not take for granted, but sometimes we allow to take advantage or take too much from us. So be careful with that, guys. Definitely put yourself in a mental space to continue coding and doing more. This is really cool artwork, though. All right. So last night we went over the Coinbase API a little bit and started working with it. I had a lot of issues with this in terms of the way I would like it to. I would like to produce code for this. Let's see here. Let's go to server. So this is the fat repo. With this repo, I've gone ahead and done quite a bit in terms of making sure that certain files are not in here. Files that hold my API key and stuff like that, or API keys and secrets. Also, gone ahead and looked at I had to go through this whole thing here because I did not like the way that this was producing, results. It was to the point where this API literally returns your own secret, your API token or your API key, and then your API secret, and like in its response. And I'm like, that is dumb. It was pissing me off. And then even all the responses were prepended with the word base, which I didn't understand. I don't know if that's just something that I'm just not used to. I couldn't find the code of where that was showing. And I was just like, you know what, screw this. I'm just going to roll my own thing because essentially it's just doing an API call or it's doing a REST API call to Coinbase's API. And I started looking through this and I tried to figure out all this stuff. We went through this a little bit last night, but um, with this API key, like you have custom headers that you have to send over. There's actually about 4 of them. The 4th one is the CB version, and that goes into the versioning here. So you can actually get different versions of the Coinbase API. This repo works off of I think the 2016 API, and we're at 2019 now. So I pretty much want to use the newest one, and I don't want to be beholden to this API because this library or module, because this module is pretty old. Module's pretty old, and I don't want to. And also, it's like third party, and I'm dealing with cryptocurrency, so or dealing with my own cryptocurrency. So there's like things that there's well, not things, but um there, there's measures that I'm taking, if you will, but there's things that I'm doing to protect myself from losing my coins or anything like that. Hold on, let me turn off the fan. So losing my coins and having any issues with that. I don't want to be. I don't want this to do any writes. I don't want this to trade any currencies at all. All I wanted to do is just read the balances and do it in a programmatic fashion to where I could put it on a website. So, for instance, dev2.mjns. There we go. So eventually I want to build a dashboard like this or somewhat like this. What's nice is the chart. So there's different types of charts. I'll probably be using AM chart 4. I'm used to that library and I like some of the things that it does. So we'll go on to that. AM chart 4, it's a JavaScript library that allows you to take your data, JSON objects or array of JSON objects, and then make charts with columns, charts with 3D columns, pies, 3D pies, combo or stacked column charts like this here, even charts that use maps. So the actual click here, if you use the free version, you can if you use the free version, it will, oh shoot, I want to lose that. If you use the free version in the chart itself, it'll have a link here. There's ways to remove that in the code. You literally just have to get the unminified version and take out a piece of code, and it's out there. So but it's not bad to keep it, like give them credit. If you're not paying for it, give them credit. Why not, AM chart 4, this is really nice. All this stuff is done in JavaScript. And when you go to this site, you'll see that like this country here will actually change. I think it was Berlin, it says Germany. So if I refresh here, which is pretty cool, this is really cool how it does it. This is dynamic and it's not the same, it's not static. So, oh, great. Wait, did it? Oh, darn it, man. It like I remember this chart. It's like Indiana Jones music plays. So hold on. I want to like this is pretty cool, man. This is cool. Like this is all done in JavaScript. You can like hover over all of this stuff. Yeah, there we go. So it actually changes the country. So before we are in Germany, and then now it comes from London, and then you can actually do all this stuff within the actual within using this library, and it has client side. It's mostly client side. Actually, yeah, it's all client side, so it's all done in the browser, and it's a client side library. So you can just put it as an extra bit of JavaScript, and then start using it, and give it an array and everything else like that, or a JSON object or a list of JSON objects or what have you. So it's really cool what you can actually do with this, and you can see where they did a lot of stuff with COVID numbers and stuff like that as well. So I do really like this library, and this is kind of one of the biggest things that I actually want to do with this project. If we go back here a little bit, um, doing things like here, having all my cryptocurrencies or all my different assets in these like tiles here at the top, and resizing them, and making it to where it's something that I can view on my phone. I don't really go much. I don't really go anywhere, but I might make the site public, um, in terms of like so that I can actually view it from anywhere in the world. I might put it on like a public server or something like that eventually, and I'll do some things to protect it, and then do some like login stuff as well. But I'll be using this template here, which is the data, yeah, able template. But you can do a lot of stuff. So I can have like all my different accounts here, click into it, do some other stuff. So there's a lot of front end stuff that will be done in this project over time. And I'll just be breaking that up into pieces. This project will be way longer than that script. I will not lie to you. And I will be consistently, chipping away at this, and taking out pieces of it so we can actually dissect them even more, and do some front end and back end code. Um, and that's more or less for like people like Richard Dixon that has the questions like, okay, should you learn front end and back end? And like the answer is for me both. One, not because I'm a full stack developer, I love back end stuff, but mainly because the better you know front end, the better you can write your back end, because then you can think about how that front end will consume the data, and also some of the limitations of front end code. Hold on. And front end code here. So sometimes like the sound of my fridge is annoying until I get a new. Well, my dad got me a new one, but I haven't put it in place yet. Um, so yeah, you'll see with like front end code and stuff like that, how or coding for front end, and making sure that the data that your backend produces what the front end needs in a timely fashion in some cases too. So that's like really cool stuff, and that's stuff that you need to have the experience of, so that you could be even better backend developer for your front end team, or just for yourself. All right. So going into this Coinbase API, I just like what I hate, I really do dislike this, but I don't like callback hell and stuff like that, and dealing with that. Callback hell is that you have a callback within a callback within a callback within a callback, and we can look this up too, because this is not like last night's stream. Callback hell. Oh. And then you have like the callback triangle of hell. So if you look at this, just take a quick screenshot here. Oh my goodness. So if you have something like this, and this isn't, yeah, this isn't really asynchronous, but this kind of goes along those lines of dealing with callback hell. But here, boom, boom, you have like the callback triangle. And what happens is you have to you have to have like a lot of your code within other code to be executed, and then actually return and to actually return a response because of the asynchronous nature with JavaScript. Now async await is great, but there's still times where you're going to have to deal with callbacks and actually use that to return a value or produce a value of any sort. um, and sometimes you just want to just, take a function or the output of a function and assign it to a variable. You have to do things like then. So, a then or dot then or dot catch. And using those are good, but then you have things like async await, where you can make your function, you just use the async keyword on your function here at the front, and then await keyword so that it works in a synchronous manner. But even then, sometimes it just doesn't work properly. It still results in in a promise or something else like that. So addition, subtract, multiplication, all of these have callback functions. Callback functions. So a callback function pipes to a callback function, pipes to a callback function, and then finally get you to the result. And where this is what you actually want. So I'm dealing with that right now, and trying to figure all that out. um, One of the things I also had to deal with was, even with the callback stuff, is just dealing with what the requirements of Coinbase, and Coinbase not giving you per se an exact way of doing things. So for instance, I want to do authentication, right? It's like, okay, well, it says authentication, you have to do an access sign. This is something that I actually have to do with the Azure Blob service, which I've mentioned before, where you actually have to have like a hex, a SHA-52 or a hash, that represents your actual request with the proper timestamp and everything. And I had a problem with this, and I actually had to recreate some of the code that is in this module here. And actually, at one point, I went ahead and dug through the GitHub for this module. Let me move this over here. I had to dig through the GitHub for this module just to find out how it did it, and I was on the right path in terms of like my function. So let's actually do that here. All right. CD access timestamp. So I had to make a function called generate CB access sign. Essentially, this just generates the access sign string, or the hash, um, for the request. One of the things that I was getting tripped up on was timestamp. So if you do date.now, it gives you the timestamp in milliseconds since 1970, so since January 1st, 1970, 12 a.m., right? That's every second since then, but it gives it to you in milliseconds, meaning if this requires, right? So this says the CB access sign header, which is a custom header which you can pass using Axios, curl, and other projects that allow you to interact with web servers, not just like APIs, but web servers in general. Header is generated by creating a SHA-256 HMAC using the secret key on the pre-hash string timestamp plus method plus request path plus body. So essentially, like just about your entire request has to be in this hash, and it's just like, I know they're doing it for the protection, but Jesus, it's a very small hurdle to get over. So not really a big deal or anything like that, but is what it is. Let's see here. Perfect. It is what it is. And I don't know exactly why they do it other than security. So you can actually thwart man-in-the-middle attacks, because a part of that is, it's definitely, yeah, I want to say it's definitely because of things like that, because a part of that key itself, not man-in-the-middle attacks, but some type of vulnerability or attack. I'd have to look it up. But a part of this, you generating this in this function that I wrote here myself, and I did that. Actually, I can't say I totally wrote it myself, but here we go. I looked up this, how to create a SHA-256 hash in Node.js. So I had to bring in the crypto library and then have my string, have my secret, and then you do your create HMAC and your actual encryption type or encryption algorithm, and then your secret that you're using to hash that. And it's a secret that you and the other side shares. So no one else should have that. And if they steal your secret, that's a problem along with your API key. But once all that's done and you've created that, then you're gonna put that to your hash variable, and then you're gonna do digest hex. So then that converts it to a hexadecimal string here, and boom, there you go. And you'll get a resulting hash like that. And that's essentially what you're gonna send in this CB access sign. So I had to go through that, but dealing with this, it's like I have to do this whole thing here, put all that together, and then sometimes the body is blank because in a GET request, there's really nothing that you're passing, and you could do most of the passing of any information in headers, unless you're doing like a post request. That's where the body actually matters. But I had to go through this and try to figure out the best way of actually doing this and generating it. And this is why libraries and modules are so important, because you'll be banging your head against the wall trying to figure out how to do that when something else is abstracting away all of that complexity for you. But if you don't like it, then you're going to have to generate your own stuff. So this little bit of code here, we'll say 2, 4, there's 5 lines of code here, is the same as me doing all of this here. There's some things that I do add to it, but for the most part, if I wanted to get the exchange, or actually, here we go. This is probably better here. If I wanted to get accounts, I do all of this here. Right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21 lines. 21 lines of code to do just about the same thing as these 5 lines of code. And even with these 5 lines of code, and of course there's spacing, I can abstract a lot of this away and so on and so forth. But this is unminified, and this is just human readable code right here. So if we look at it, human readable code to human readable code, I'm doing more in these lines, and I have to do more in terms of custom stuff, in terms of like filtering out information that I do not want. So with all that being said, these are the things that you're going to have to do if you want to roll it yourself, in a sense, instead of using a library. And then at the end of it, I still had to go into this library to figure out one key piece, which was how to generate this access token. I had to go to a different article. I got most of it all done here, but it was kind of crazy. I did the whole article. Everything was good, right? So the biggest change or difference was this line here. So let's take that out. And literally my line looked like this versus the line in the actual library. Everything else the same. Like, it was kind of crazy. So let's look at the library here, and I think it is in her. Yeah, here we go. So what was cool, and it did the same thing that I thought of, because you have to make sure I can't call date now twice, because it'll get the time at different points. So I have to call date now and then keep that assigned to this variable and make sure that it's the same, because it should be the same within the actual the access sign portion of it, or the access sign hash. So I thought, I was like, oh, okay, I'll just return a JSON object. And sure enough, they turned the JSON object. They use different names, but actually just one different name. Instead of digest, I use CV access sign. So I was kind of proud of that. I was just like, oh, okay, this is really cool. But everything else was the same, in terms of like all the stuff that you pass in, the fact that I pass stuff in like this. I usually try to use objects, but it's only 3 parameters, and it's pretty much the same. I don't need to do anything crazier in this portion of it. And that's pretty much it. So I have my own little custom function, but literally it's the same. Like, I was very proud of that. I am very proud of that. That, it's like, okay, you're thinking on the same level in a sense as somebody who's making a library. So I was very, very proud of that stuff. So let's go ahead and save this here. All right, so we're good. All right, good. All right. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm not gonna stream too long tonight. I'll go into this a little bit, but I'm gonna I'm gonna take it easy tonight. Yeah, just it's just fun, and I like doing this work, and even communicating with you guys and working with you guys when you guys do catch the stream, the comments and stuff like that, or the live streams. But tonight I'm just gonna take it easy. And I want to say probably Kevin Samuels is like streaming right now, which is like where most of Black YouTube goes. Whoa, look at this freaking picture, guys. Oh man, this is really cool. The Tree of Life Crowfall. Okay. Like the difference between good and evil and stuff like that, or different side of good and evil. This is a sick picture. Yeah, I like pictures like this, and then incorporating them somehow, and even in my content and my work as well. Putting these pictures on actual websites and such. This is a really good. Oh yeah, this dude. Yeah, this like this. Okay, hopefully this won't get flagged or anything like that. I don't think enough people watch, but this is a really cool picture. This is a sick picture, bro. Oh, that's an awesome picture. Yeah, I know this artist. This guy does some really good stuff. Freaking Metro, Samus from Metroid. All right. Yeah, I think a lot of people. I think Kevin Samuels is like Kevin Samuel. Yeah, is he live right now? No, he's not live. Oh my God, I have no excuses. Ah, but for those that do watch, I really do appreciate you. Sorry, a little bit of tangent there. All right, back to coding. Um, so in terms of this here, one of the things that I did is I separated, like, the API call to get the exchange rate in USD. So I asked for the symbol, or this what do they call this thing again? This function takes the symbol, the ticker symbol for the coin itself, and then the fiat currency, which is USD or USD or EUR for euro, GBP for Great British Pound, something like that. So takes that, and then a part of what it does here is this just gets all the accounts. So I take all that, and then this is where I do the split of custom and core. So in my core, those are the functions that are repeatable. I want to use these all the time, and I want to do one or two things with them. And they're basically to get data in a structured fashion. It's not something where it's like, oh, okay, in case of this, I do this. In case of all those different cases and scenarios, that's where I do all that stuff in the custom portion of my code, or custom portion of my code. So essentially, I create a little bit of a library here, or a small little library of functions, reusable code, and then I call all of that, because you can see that a lot of this stuff gets abstracted away here. So if I look at, oh, if I look at here, I'm going to have my constant in terms of the CB API version. I can change that pretty easily to update this bit of code in the core, but in the custom file. Oh, okay. So just say no. And then I think that's in 2. There we go. In the custom file, I only call the core file. After that, with the core file, I export any variables or functions, and then I call those later on here, and then this is where most of the magic happens. So with this, so let's take that out. Yeah. Wait, what are we doing here? Oh, okay. So this is code that doesn't work. Let's trying to work on it today, but I just could not get in the mood for it. All right, let's call this. All right. So this is an example of code. So when you see, like, I even do some of my GIS, new GIS core. So this will be the core file. Where is it? It's pretty long. This is the core file, and then in the custom file, I'll have all my test functions and different tests that I do. But for the most part, you'll see that there's not much in here. A lot of the heavy lifting is done in the core file itself, pre-processing, so on and so forth. And then any custom stuff that is non-standard, or I need to manipulate data, assign stuff to whatever, I do here in my testing. This information will mostly be in this inside of maybe a if I'm using something like Axios and I have my API front end, or the front end to my API, like, sorry, if I have my API and then maybe even the front end code that's calling calling the API, I might have like router, and you'll see where that router portion comes in. That's just for not Axios, but for Express.js. And then I might do something like this. Yeah, and I make all these noises while I'm doing it. So we'll do async, and then we'll do request and res. So request and response, and this will be to call. So it might have something like API / Coinbase / accounts, right? And then I'll have this get accounts code in there. All right, boom, boom. All right. So what the deuce? All right, and then instead of console, what I'll probably do is pass something like callback, and then and that callback would be, or I would define callback, um, and that callback would be something like that down here. Which actually, let's just do this. I would have to define callback. Oop, where? Why is this off the screen like that? Weird. Oh crap! Come on. Sorry, it's being temperamental. Okay, I need this. I'm having an issue with screen here. It wants to be a biggity bitch today. How do I fix this? Control and Shift D. Control. Right. Okay. Detach. X. Still the same problem. All right. So if I wanted to do that, add new code per se, I would do something like core, nano core, and then in this, so get accounts, what I should have is callback, right? So then I'll have a callback function, and then that callback function takes return data, or takes this filtered data, right? So I'll add that later. If I do that off stream in terms of like the testing, I might do it on stream just for you guys so you can see how I go through it. But it's just something I haven't tested yet. But let's see here. Everything's good. All right, good. So nano custom, and like Coinbase. So then I would have something. Oh yeah, I got out of this file. What did I have on this before, guys? We took out this, and we took out this, and this time we'll run it. Yeah, we'll run it. So you'll see the result of this, and I think that should be it. So essentially what this does, it does get accounts. There's no callback here, but I can always add it. Get accounts, and then with get accounts, what I do is I do it then, and then make that asynchronous, pass that as a response to a new function or a new callback function, and then or pass the result of get accounts to the then, and then after that I'll have let modified response. In this case, in modified response, I'll await that, making it async using an asynchronous function call. I'll await that, and this will make it synchronous or act synchronous. It'll wait after this, or it'll wait for this to be finished, and then go ahead and produce whatever else we need. Actually, what I probably want to do is actually take out the await for this here. It's not really needed, and take out this await. And I think this, because I had this working earlier, but I was like futzing around with it a lot. So that's why you see me like reworking this. So in this case, modified response, and I don't even need this actually. Yeah, because I'm not really calling it, and I don't need to console log it after the fact. Get my spacing right. And what I just did with the spacing in terms of just using single space indents, that's just kind of a that's how I keep my code somewhat clean and readable, and show the hierarchy, especially if I have like nested ifs, nested functions, and things like that, and other variables, and show where it is and what level it's on in terms of the hierarchy of the code. In some cases, you have actual style guides like the Twitter style guide, or any other project style guide, and even custom style guides that you might have that say, hey, I need you to do single space indents, tab indents, so on and so forth. And then you can even use other plugins into things like VS Code or into other IDEs, to where uh, you can automatically do all that. So like as you save a file, it'll automatically indent everything for you. It's a lot smarter, so you don't have to go through that. But this is my IDE here, so I don't have that option, or I don't have that feature. Someone actually, I have a. If you do Alt I, it'll do auto indent for stuff, so that's pretty cool. So like if I do this, it'll auto indent for that, but I usually turn that off. I don't really like it. It's just not normal for me. I might start using it though. See, I can do the fancy stuff. Look at that. So as you see here, I do let price. I don't even need. No, yeah, we want this. So I want to await this, because this is get exchange rates. That's doing an API call, and then that one will return a value in it, or return a value, and then when it returns that value, it'll get assigned to price. As you can see here, since we're doing the map function, it'll go through this and map or actually we'll just do a for each. I was doing the map function because the map function will go through, iterate through the array, make the changes, and produce that as a new array, or produce the input array or the original array as a newly formed array after I've mapped. I've done things like maybe multiplication of multiplication or anything else. I could even do things like sorting as well, if I want this stuff to be represented in somewhat of a list. But I'll probably do most of my sorting and stuff on the front end, and not really care what the back end produces. And that's usually how I'd like to do it. Like the back end produces what it produces, and I don't want to do any type of sorting. I'll do sorting on the front end, and then go from there if I actually want to do any type of sorting. All right, so um, right, so let price await. So it'll handle this in a synchronous fashion, and then it'll say total value, which is a dot balance that amount times the price. So that'll give me my total value, and that'll result in the in the resulting JSON object. Essentially, I'm adding the total value section here, which is not which is provided via this library here, but I essentially it has like it was what they call native balance. So I have to make an extra API call to actually make this all happen. Whereas this code does all of this for me. So that is the power of this. And you can also just change the source code of the module itself as well. So, but that's not always going to be the case unless you like. The best thing is to fork it, change it, and then go ahead and do whatever you need to from there. Maybe that's something that you can always do too, or that I might do. Maybe volunteer my time to update some of this code for stuff that I like and do not like, and then even update some of the API calls and all some of the backend stuff. So you can volunteer your time and actually, make make friends that way, make connections with people as well to actually help them out, and then also learn something because this person could teach me a whole lot. Anyways, going forward. So yeah, after that, console log A and go from there. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and run that. Oh, actually, all right. One, yeah, we can do this. All right, so I'm gonna do node, oof, node Coinbase custom. Oh, great. What did I miss? What did I mess up? So that is saying on line 13, unexpected. That would make sense. Okay. Yeah, because this was wrapped in a function call. And the reason why this is indented over like that is because it is a then. So, and that might have caused an error here too, especially if it's something that is a dependency, or it would show its error right here if it was actually ran or executed. And boom. All right, cool. So let's break this down here. So what this does, it's just console logging the output for me. Let's just do this and pipe this into the less command so we can scroll down. So gives us everything here. As you can see, it's not an array, although it's outputting the items within an array, right? So as it iterates, it's console logging this out. What I would like is the entire array itself. But for me to do that, I would actually have to do something. I would have to do everything in line or within the actual function itself, and that becomes a bit of a pain. And that's where we get into what I was talking about at the beginning, which is the callback hell. See, connected it back. So I would like, you can tell this is not an array. One, it doesn't have the opening square bracket. Also, in between the JSON objects, it doesn't have a comma. As you can see here, gives me my ID and all types of other stuff. There's some stuff that I do usually delete, but we also see here in the balance, it actually it actually adds the value that we want here to this object, and then I can actually take this object and again go ahead and do whatever I need to. So, I mean, maybe I take out some other stuff in here, but I would do that later on down the line, maybe even add what I call like an object preprocessor and a post-processor. So the object preprocessor, the goal of it is to see here. So we have this object preprocessor, which is task validation. So it processes the object before it passes it on to the next step. By doing this, I can ensure the validity of the information in it, maybe even manipulating that data, transforming that data, such as taking certain fields and capitalizing all letters, or lowercasing all letters and only capitalizing the first letter or first character in the first name string and the first character in the last name string, or things like that. So, or even, maybe even adding periods or anything like that, or shortening certain things based off of a regex, or doing certain things based off of a regex. So I can do all that in what I like to call an object preprocessor. So this task validation, even though it's not named that, it's essentially an object preprocessor. And then all it does is returns the result of all of these checks, right? So if it's, if the task object parent is there, then I'm going to add task parent and then whatever that value is. So Once that's done, I'll do the task validation, and then I can actually make my code a lot smaller here because my data is going to be the output of task validation and the base object and the task object, or passing in with the base object and the task object here. So, and then I have my example of my base object and task object here at the top. So those type of things are what I usually like to do in terms of like having these different helper functions and core functions. I'm trying to write better code, reusable code that other people could, excuse me, other people can use to actually, do a project or two or something like that, and or even just use as a base and say, hey, listen, your code is crap, but I like where you're going. I guess that's a compliment, right? So we can see from there. We can see how that all works. Hmm. But we can see here that I have all my information for Ethereum, how much Ethereum I have, the currency, and then the total value of that right now. So yeah, damn, $20,000 in Ethereum, man, and that's only 6 freaking coins, bro. 6 freaking coins. And one thing I should add. So we see how it doesn't tell us what the price is. So let's add that. Um, let's add that. Exchange rates. So that's fine. The only problem, oh no, that should be in custom. So yeah, here we go. Let's see. Um, exchange price, and then we'll just have that as price. We don't have to do anything crazy with that. There's the price is already awaited, and we already have all that there. So now, if I go ahead and run that again, one more again, now we can see where we have the actual price. So I can get the price. It'll be a string there, and we can do whatever we need to with that number. So that's nice to have there. All right, exchange price. Okay, great. And it could just be price. So you can go from there, and now as you can see, like I have all this backend data. If I look at something like this, where I have all these different cards here, I can see I can just actually start putting, all this information in these value. Like I can have my total price here, maybe even get some historical data and put it here, maybe the year to date or what have you. Maybe even take this data and say, okay, maybe I have a goal, and see how you have this progress bar. I can actually change that progress bar. So let's see here. All right. Let's just go back. Actually, let's change this. There we go. There we go. There we go. It's easier to find. And we could probably change this to something like 60. And with it going to like 60, oh, well, maybe. Oh, okay. So value now. There we go. And then you can see it resizes it. So you can have all of that. So that could be like 90% of my goal or something like that. And it could slide in and out. And then we can actually have it to where JavaScript, or we have some JavaScript in the backend that updates that maybe every 15 minutes or something like that. Maybe I have a goal of this coin reaching to X amount of dollars or something like that, and then it keeps going back and forth and shows a different price, and then this moves back and forth as well because this card is getting updated by backend JavaScript. So there's a lot of things you can do with this. Let's break down this a little bit more. Maybe get into some coding here. Okay, so it's pretty cool because they have like some regular expressions here. So it's like, oh, okay, what does that do? What does that mean? Let's define. So the custom could be used as an extension of the core library, if you will. Oh, I forgot I had that open on, I think, too. So this can be used as an extension of the core library, but I can't really. Well, let's make it usable. Okay, so let's do this. We'll have a function called callback, and all this function is going to do is take v for value and console.log that and say v dot balance. Yeah, we'll say b dot balance. All I want is the balance, or balance. All I want is the balance, right? And that's all it's going to do. So then this, since it takes callback, I'm going to take my function called callback and like a pimp named slipback. So I'll take my function called callback, and then yeah, so take a is v, and then that should be a JSON object. And essentially what we're testing is using callbacks. And I might be passing this in the wrong space. Oh crap, I think I'm passing this in the wrong space. I think I probably have to pass it down here. Like response and then callback. Yeah, I think I have to pass it down here actually. Do I want, no. Yeah, I have to pass it down there. One nano core and get accounts doesn't need a callback. I mean, and I can manipulate get account on the fly too, in terms of putting different information in there, but this stuff is pretty static. It's going to be a get request. It's going to be to this endpoint. There's not going to be any body to it. And then I do things like I filter the data here. So if the balance that amount is greater than 0, that's what I want. Otherwise, if it's less than 0, I do not want it. Discard it. So that's why I only have 3 things showing up. There's also pagination in the Coinbase API as well. So there might be stuff that I'm missing, especially if I have coins that are maybe on, like, it only returns about 25 coins at a time versus all the different coins that you can that are available on the Coinbase exchange. So that's something I do have to deal with in terms of processing all that data and returning it properly, or returning everything and making sure that I cover everything. So here, all right, cool. All right, let's go here. So node custom less, and I think, all right, so I think, yeah, all right, we should be good. Let's see if it works. No, callback is not a function. Huh, why is it not a function? Huh. And what line is that at? That's line 16. It's not a function. But it is. All right. Is not a function. Did I spell function wrong? Function called callback. V.balance. Yes, okay, it's not because it wasn't saved or anything. All right, let's figure that out. Then async called callback function. If I pass it console.log. I wonder if it just works because of that. Oof, that's weird. It is what it is. So I thought I had to pass it, and I don't. It's just available since it's a global function or considered a global function. So I don't have to like pass it into the .then, essentially. So it's just weird that it says it's not it wasn't a function. Most likely because of the nature of .then. Again, this is something that or not again, but it's .then I don't know totally, and how that works. But as we can see that mm, yeah, as we can see that, because I called that function in, or I probably put that function in the wrong place. So it returns responses or returns information from this original function, and anything else new is not needed here. So I can just boom put that there. But I hummed because from the bell tolls. I can do things like mm, hmm. Yeah, it does it multiple times. I mean, I can have it do. Yeah, I can have it do stuff at this point, but return. Okay, let's do this. And this is something that was going off in my head, or I was going through earlier. I want to return response dot length, or if response dot length -1 equals I, which is the current index. While iterating through, I'll just return callback A, and then A will actually be hmm, hmm, A will actually be what? It could be something else. Let's do this. We'll do this. We'll define a new array here. So we'll call it final response equals an empty array, and then we'll do final response dot, oh man, final response dot what, dot push, and then we'll push A onto it, and because we want everything, everything that we've modified, and then on the front end we can modify whatever data, or via our API route, or maybe even a database call. Then we'll do all the modifications and modify what gets presented to what. Because in some cases on your front end, I don't need maybe the whole ID. Maybe I don't want to expose all that information. Maybe there's information that I want to keep secret or on the back end only, and the front end should only get maybe all it needs is the amount, the currency, the exchange price, and then the total value. So things like that. I don't need everything in that whole entire JSON object or anything else like that. So, but I do that later on. I do all the filtering later. Right now, I just want to get as much data as I can to where I need it. And I'll do return callback, and then I'll do final response again. So then essentially what this is saying, on the last iteration of all of this code here, then do this. And I can do something like, await. And I think this is going to give me a promise, to be honest. And then go from there. So it should do all of this stuff in order, and then finally do this. and then I can do final response, and then I'll just do V, because I won't be doing that balance because that will not be defined, since it's going to be returning an entire array. All right, cool. So, left side assignment. And that's because I didn't await over here. I can't do that. I guess there's no need to do that actually. I just did it because I want to try and make this sucker work. Hey, it works. Yeah, that's okay. So this is the issue I was having earlier. It's not doing everything. Like it's, you know, oh wait, no, but it should be pushing onto that array. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, for each. So it should be pushing onto the final response array, but it's almost like, actually, I don't think it's even giving me everything. Like it should be waiting for all of this. Yeah, called callback. It shouldn't be doing all this at one time or at that point. So it's doing Ethereum. All right, let me show you what it does. And this is just something I got to figure out, like how to make it wait. And I don't want to do something like set interval because that doesn't work, because you might actually have something wrong with the AP the what's it called, the source API server or the Coinbase API server, where if you do like a set interval or something like that, where or a set timeout, actually, like you wait a second. Well, a second may not be long enough. Also, a second may be too long. I wanted to get it done when it's done. Like give it to me when it's done. I don't need it earlier. I need it when it's done. Give it to me. So, but that's asynchronous programming. But you saw one, now I'm seeing two. And another thing I was doing is I have to do like a constant ping to Google. So when you guys see like I had all those problems trying to connect to out to the internet, then one of the ways I'm trying to fix that is to make sure that I have a constant ping. So that's like on another window, and I just have that running. But yeah, you see where like it gives me, now it's giving me two. It's the same code. I'm just running it again. Now let me run it one more time. Let's see. Yep, still two. Actually, three this time. So it gives me everything. It's like this is the problem I'm having. It's just like, why is it doing that? So I still have my issues with working with Node.js and it being an asynchronous language, stuff that I just haven't got my head around, having to deal with promises, having to deal with things appearing when they need to, and being predictable. But I want to say, because of this language has been around so much and there's just so many other people out there that are doing great things with it, it's me. I will admit that it is me. I will admit that there's something that I'm not doing right in this. But essentially, you can see that I can do a callback here, and I can have all my information in an array. Um, you know, what I probably do is, like, if I can't totally figure this out, like right now, because usually sometimes I have to just go back and figure stuff out. But if I can't figure it out right away, what I'll do is I'll just continue on and say, for instance, I'll push this to the database. And every 15 minutes, maybe it updates it. And every 15 minutes, maybe it gets all three of them. Maybe it gets only two of them, does a database update. And then at some point, my front end will show me all the up-to-date correct information, such as this here. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes it's just the backend data, backend API. I don't think that's the case in this case, though. I think this is just me and my lack of knowledge with working with Node.js and asynchronous stuff. Where am I? Here we go. I think that's just really me on this. But if I have everything pushed to a database, then I don't have to worry about, maybe some information not being there and some information being there. Also, with it being every 15 minutes, I can get kind of up to the minute, or I can get historical data as well, saved on my own system, and then discard wherever I need to, depending on, like, storage space limitations and stuff like that on my side. But yeah, guys, that's basically it. I didn't want to stream too long tonight. I kind of just went over some of the stuff that I've been discovering or that I discovered um, previously. I was thinking about doing actually putting this out, or I was thinking about doing mm, an actual API endpoint and pushing some of this information. But man, fuck that shit. Let's do it. I'm sorry. I want to. Oh man, yeah. Let's just do it, man, and then let's get it done. This is therapy for me, man. So just doing this and people watching and stuff like that, or catching the playback and getting value out of it, man. That's once you focus on YouTube, you lose focus. The mission is to get as many brothers on this train as much as possible and help out those as best as possible in the way that I actually can help out. I'm not a thought leader like some other people in terms of this Black Manosphere or anything else like that, or even the MGTOW community, but I am a part of it, and I hope I can help guys. So uh, let's do that. So in this case, let's go ahead and make an endpoint. Um, maybe we'll have a get route. Yeah, we'll do a get route. This server is IPO. How about that Coinbase IPO? Coinbase is down, man. I'm like down $200 on that. So like, I think I got it at like 3 something maybe, or maybe I'm down a little bit more than that. Yeah, but I had a feeling it was gonna go down. I just wanted to get in, and well, only fools rush in. But I got into that, and it's doing okay. Whoa, that's freaky. I like it. Wouldn't date her though. So HTTPS. I'm on it up. Let's see. Did that have an error? Cert authority proceed. Cannot get. All right, cool. So 443 actually works here, so that's good. So that means it should be communicating to our AP, our backend. Our backend does not have a route for that, so let's go ahead and define a route. I have a file called route.js that is under my controller folder, and that is where I do all that other stuff. So let's go ahead and do nano route.js. I define API endpoints, and then I define page endpoints. So in this case, let's define a page endpoint. So let's take, wait, I do not like that. Let's go like that. And we could change this on our Node.js app as well. So I'll do get res render. So in this, you see how we have this, we have a request in our res. So we don't have a template, but what I will be doing is res send. So here, let's define our Coinbase core stuff, right? And then that is an array. This is what I was talking about in terms of what we have to do here. So what we're going to do is copy this function here. Okay. There we go. Oh, crap. Wrong one. There we go. Damn, sound like a freaking typewriter. All right, cool. App get request. See, the res is stands for response. So we are going to make a callback function. Actually, We will define this function within a function. Yes, we can do stuff like that, obviously. I'm sure you guys know that. So we'll do res callback. Callback. I'm not gonna lie, I feel better now a little bit just coding this stuff. Thanks for those that are watching. Really do appreciate you. This is coding is therapeutic, man. All right, so we'll do V for value or A for array. We'll do yeah, we'll just call it V for value. And with that, we're gonna do res dot send. We're gonna do a couple things here. If v dot length, so we're just gonna guard ourselves, right? And make sure that something always gets returned. We always get a status code returned, or status code or content returned, body returned, what have you, right? So we'll do length, and we'll say v dot length. If v dot length is equal to 0, then res dot send. No, trying to figure out how I want this. So let res object equal, and this is the object I want to pass. I have a bit of a standard, my own personal standard of how I write these objects. I always have a status, like my own personal status, and then I have a message. And now I start using things like payload. Actually, let's use payload all lowercase, right? And we won't define that. So, and then, yeah, and then status. Yeah, cool. So I'll have that as my little mock-up here. And I can define that even globally if I needed to, but in this case, I'll keep it within the function. I'll do res.send if v length. I'll say res object equals or res object status equals let's be consistent with our quotes here. Status equals failure. And okay here, and our message will equal empty array returned. Right, we can have it as anything, and our payload, we'll just keep it blank. We don't have to do anything special because the message will handle most of the stuff. But actually, our payload, we don't have to do anything. Res.send is a function, or res is a function, and it has a property of send, and then we can do things like this, sending an object. So we can do res.send, and we can do send res. Or res object. All right, so now we have that res object, it gets sent, and then we can do status. We can do we can have another function called status, and then that will send a status of that will send a status of what do we want for our HTTP codes? Let's go ahead and look at those HTTP codes. Oh, that's pretty. Status codes, and we'll say successful redirects. Let's look for one that says empty. Empty. Blank. I don't think they have a blank. This isn't a server error. This isn't a client error. You could say it's successful, but okay, 204, no content. So we'll send a 204. And in this case, we'll copy that. We'll take this, our res object, and add payload. And then in our payload, we'll add v, right? Cool. So then we'll do it, send a status of 200, which would be okay. All right, cool. So 204, it's successful. It's a 200. It's a successful response. It's just no content has been returned, because our array has nothing in it. So we can do that for our callback. Oh, and then there we go. That's why that was there. All right. Well, got an error. What is it? Route.js cannot find module core.js. Oh, okay. That is because I believe it is routes, and then it'll be Coinbase. Yeah, there we go. Cool. So it's just the definition, or that where that was defined there. So it's in that same controller folder. It's just nothing's there. So where's that send? Oh, this should be async. No, yeah, this should be async. And we'll do. Oh, we don't have called callback. We do have. Hold on, let me get rid of that. We don't have called callback. We have res callback as a function. 0. Just switch between that. Usually I have my monitors in vertical, in a vertical orientation. So all this is on like one of my 32-inch curved monitors, but then I have like smaller, I think 25-inch, 25-inch, 22-inch monitors, something like that, and those were vertical, and that helps me view a lot more code or lines of code, and I usually have it probably like this small or something. Oh, ooh, that's too small. Probably about this small or so. So it's like one extra level so you guys can read it. Yeah, so res callback. So I think, hey guys, I think that should do it. No, nothing? Nothing? Oh, yeah, because I'm not exporting anything. Pages endpoint. Boom, there it is. Now we're done. All right, so you can see that, it returns static. Oh, actually, no. Oof, weird. So I guess empty return payload. Weird, because I have stuff here. That's weird. Okay. Not sure why, but it gives me my payload. Yeah. All right. Well, let's look at that. Oh, also, let's actually do this in Rocket Man. We went over this just the other day. I think this was Tuesday we did this on the stream. And let's see here. We'll do a get. Cancel. What have to do? Oh, okay. Come on. Disable Ssl verification. Cool. Yeah, I don't know why it's still returning. It gave me 2 this time, though. That's nice. Let me see if it gives me 3. Oh my god, if it gives me 3, I'd be like freaking. No, it only gave me 1, so I'm just as pissed. Yeah, I'll have to figure that out. But you see how all this all works. So you have to go through this and deal with this crap. So, oh, actually, oh no, we can. That is, why is that function res callback v if v dot length is equal to 0, which it shouldn't be, because if it's equal to 0, ugh, I mean, you can do console dot log v and see what that produces. And also, I like to sometimes look at this too, or look at the actual overall system log. So it's giving me this. That shouldn't be a failure. Ah, it's a failure because we copied it. That's a failure. All right, so that's a success. Uh, here's your sign. Oh, I think it's there's your sign. There's your sign. So with that, there we go. So yeah, we're good to go on that. I gotta figure out how to make this more consistent to where it should get everything before it actually returns anything else. Um, I'm not sure how I can do that. Not yet, at least, but I'll figure it out. And if anything, we just make. But that, I mean, that goes to lack of efficiency there, because it's like if I have to make 2 to 3 API calls to get everything, then there's a problem, and it's a problem in my code, not so much the API, because the API shouldn't be. I doubt the API is a problem here, most definitely. Alrighty, guys. I'll leave it there. I'll actually upload this code to the GitHub repository, and you guys will see that. But that's it for now. It's a shorter stream than usual, only by what 38 minutes. But yeah, I wish you guys all the best, and take those mental health days. Take those days to relax. And as always, uh, if you're not taking what I say with a grain of salt, you're low in sodium. Make sure you study this stuff, look at it, do scenarios, screw up, fuck up, whatever. And along the way, just enjoy yourself. Thank you guys. Really do appreciate you. Peace.